is a production of DallasCowboys.com and the Dallas Cowboys Football Club.
How about them Cowboys?
Let's go, baby!
Are you ready for a break?
Yes.
Are you ready for a break?
Absolutely.
Ready for a break?
Yeah, and so much for that.
It's time for The Break on DallasCowboys.com.
We were on a break!
With Nick Eatman, David Hellman, Ambar Garcia, and Derek Eagleton.
It is Wednesday, August 14th, 2019, season 15, episode number 27. This is our last and final show from out here in Oxnard, California.
This better be good. You better make it good, Derek. Our last show here. Let's bring it.
Like, you kind of say something mean at the start of every show.
How does that mean? That's motivational. That's me pushing.
That's motivational.
Remember when you said
I
got my own little Tony Robbins right here.
You said, do you want to host? And you're like, no, you got it. And then
there we go. No, it's our last show here in Oxnard. We are packing up.
Better be good, Derek. Let's go.
Thanks,
Better be
Nick.
good.
It will be. It'll be very good.
That's an old
joke.
joke.
We got a great
now.
show. We got a great show lined up for you guys. But this will be the last show for those of you guys out here in Oxnard. If you want to catch a practice, today is your final day to be able to do that. They have a practice this afternoon at 3:30 Pacific time. It'll be the last practice. Tomorrow is not a practice. That practice was canceled. We will be heading off to Hawaii tomorrow for the Cowboys to take on the Los Angeles Rams on Saturday night in Honolulu. So we got a few things that we want to get into today. This is with it being our last show here at training camp in Oxnard. Remember, we do have training camp once we get back for another 2 weeks, but last day in Oxnard, I really wanted to give a big picture look at what we've seen out here and kind of make sense of it for our listeners from an overall perspective of all the 15 practices that we've seen so far. So let's start with a little bit of blanket coverage. I have today I have 4 statements that I'm going to toss to you guys. You fill in the blanks. Statement number 1, after 15 practices, I'm convinced of this that this one thing is true. Fill in the blank.
It's time to go home.
Can't even play along.
I'm not playing. I mean, it is definitely time to go home. After 15 practices, this is true. Contract years are a real thing. It's a real thing. It really does happen. When you're in your contract year, you play better.
I see where you're going with that.
Malik Collins is playing better. I think Amari Cooper will play better if he's going to finish on a contract year, and same with Dak. I bet Anthony Brown plays a lot better this year. I just think that's a real thing, and it happens. I've seen it with Spencer. I've seen it with Hatcher. I've seen it with – I know there's been others. So, because we're going to come up with a list of our best players of training camp, and if Malik Collins is at number 1, he'll be number 2 or 3. He's been outstanding, and it's hard to be outstanding as a defensive tackle. And when you're not practicing, but he has been good.
Amber, you're convinced of this one thing after 15 practices?
That you can never have a calm offseason if you're the Cowboys. I honestly, going into this year, after DeMarcus Lawrence signing and all that, I was convinced that, okay, this is going to be great. We're going to go to camp. It's going to be awesome. I'm ready. This team can make it to the Super Bowl. I'm not saying they can't right now or anything like that, but what I'm saying is now you have all these other layers of things that are starting to happen. The contract talks, you got Zeke holding out, you got different injuries popping up, and it's like, man, can we just enjoy this for a little longer? Can we enjoy the excitement a little longer? But I'm not saying things are going down the drain yet or anything like that, but I would like to be more hyped as of right now.
Dave.
As much football as we've watched and as long as we've been out here, like, the real process of getting this team ready hasn't even started yet. And when I say that, I mean how many of this team's most important players have even done a ton of work out here? Ezekiel Elliott's not here. Amari Cooper's been MIA for a week. DeMarcus Lawrence and Byron Jones are not yet off of PUP. Zach Martin is resting his back. Travis Frederick is slowly inching his way deeper into the water. I just listed like 6 of the team's best players. Mm-hmm. They're not ready. And we've seen the young guys have done a lot. The rookies are exciting. we've learned about the depth, but like the guys that are going to be responsible for getting this team to the playoffs have not even really gotten to work yet. And so, like I said, and I've said before, like I'm not concerned about it because we're talking about all pro players here, but there's a lot of work to do between when you get back to Frisco and when you start playing real football games in regard to the actual guys who are going to play on Sunday and not the feel-good training camp stories.
All right. After 15 practices, my biggest concern for this team is blank. Amber.
Biggest concern. Health. I think that obviously the Cowboys have a ton of talent on the roster right now, both on the defense side and then on the offense as well. And one of the things that I think can really mess up this whole season is health and what happens with the guys on the O-line and all that, especially if Zeke is not here and is not able to help you out that way to begin with. If something happens with one of these O-linemen and things aren't going that great, the backup guys, that's going to be really concerning as far as the running game.
Dave, biggest concern is?
I mean, health is always, in this sport, health is always huge. My biggest concern is probably just, like, do these leaps actually happen? And I don't mean to throw shade at Byron Jones, but I just remember how much we raved about him at safety in 2017, and it didn't show up when it actually mattered. He was fine. He didn't, they switched his position a year later, so he clearly wasn't amazing. And, I can go down the list. Malik Collins is having an amazing camp. Michael Gallup is having an amazing camp. Xavier Woods is having an amazing camp. Cheeto and Jordan are having amazing camps. Will it matter? Will it translate? Because that's what's going to be the difference, I think, between this team taking that proverbial next step. Like, Robert Quinn and Randall Cobb are here, and there's rookies here, and there's some interesting potential for this team to get better, but the big thing is going to be existing players taking another step in their game. And it's happening so far, but it's a different beast when you start playing other teams.
Nick, biggest concern?
Zeke not being here, his contract. Let's move on. That's it.
All right.
Zeke, if he's not here, this team isn't as good. I don't care what they say about 36. They'll be scared to death if he has to play. Zeke got to get here with his contract. And the more he holds out, the more leverage I believe he has.
All right. After 15 practices, the player that surprised me the most was blank. Nick?
I would say Jordan Lewis. Jordan Lewis has been really good. And
does that surprise you, or you didn't expect him to be that good?
I think we did a point counterpoint with Broadus and myself, and he said he should be a starter, and I said I don't think he's in the top 2. I still don't know if I believe that because Cheeto's been really good, but I think he's in the top 3 for sure. So he's been a really good player, and to the point where you don't think about trading the depth away and just to try to get something. I think you have to cut a Lumba if you have to and just take your chances. But he's been so good.
Yesterday he made what I think was the play of training camp in an interception that he got where he literally laid out at a moment's notice and got a pick. Great coverage. It was one of the best plays I've seen.
It was a bittersweet play because it was really awesome, and I know how many awesome photos and videos that Dave Hellman gets.
I didn't get a video
David
of it.
just stood up from sitting down, getting all the shots. He just stood up.
It would have been the greatest video. That video, could have been in like one of your.
It happens.
That would have been your Hall of
viral.
Fame.
It happens without fail. Like when I let my guard up, that's when they do something awesome, which that's on me because you should never let your guard up. You got to be relentless, as Jason Garrett likes to say.
Down.
Sorry, yeah, when I let it down. Sorry.
Okay, making sure. All right, Amber, player that surprised you the most, blank.
This might sound weird because he was pretty good last year, but to me, I would say Malik Collins, just because he was battling with injuries last season. And to me, whenever an injury pops up, especially a reoccurring one, and not only on one side of the leg, on both sides, so it always concerns me, and I'm always paying attention as to how well that player can hold up. And he's held up pretty good out here at training camp, and not just held up, but exceeded my expectations. He's been playing really, really good.
Dave?
I'm going to say Dorrance Armstrong, not because he's not any good, but like I temper my expectations when it comes to those guys. Like, I think people fall for this trap a lot where they're like, oh, he's in his second year and he's coming along, and a lot of times that doesn't really pan out. And defensive end is typically a position where the studs at that position come from the first 2 rounds of the draft. Like, you don't see a lot of, like, all-pros coming from the 4th round. And he's not an all-pro yet, but he looked exactly like people thought he would look. Like, everybody that said, like, oh, he could take the next step, he could make that leap, he's looked exactly like that. And maybe it's my own shortcomings as a pessimistic person, but I didn't actually think that would happen. Sorry, Dorrance.
I'm going to throw in another guy in real quick.
Sure.
I am surprised that Tavon Austin is having the camp he's having, and that he is pretty much – anything can change, but I feel like right now he's kind of locked into a position. Mm-hmm. I never thought that Tavon would be locked in. Didn't think that they even wanted him back, that they signed him to a 1-year deal, and I was like, let's see if Pollard can do
But is it more because of what he has done as opposed to what other guys haven't done?
No, I think it's because of what he's done.
I would argue that he's had a very good camp.
And I thought what you said, I thought it was going to start off that way.
Yeah.
Like, let's see if someone can do it better. He's been pretty good. And the fact that we had somebody tell us that right now he's tied with Randall Cobb having the best camp, is the 3rd best guy behind Gallup and Cooper, and then not having the best camp because Cooper's been baked up, but like as far as making the team and all that, like he's right there. He's right there with Cobb.
It's easy to forget that he had a really good camp last year too, and they were using him as a downfield receiver, and it looked very similar. He got hurt in week 2 of the season. Maybe that was part of it.
Yeah,
I don't know. But he's looked good out here.
All right, final question from Blanket Coverage. Jerry had a session with the media yesterday. He had some interesting things to say. He did say this particular nugget. He said a deal could be done with someone that no one is talking about. I think, and this is you guys putting your perspective, I think he's referring to blank. Dave.
First of all, I don't think that's going to happen. Like, I don't.
Fine.
If I had to pick, my best – it's got to be somebody where, like, you can kind of control the price, I think. And so the names that come to mind, Malik Collins or maybe Antoine Woods. Yeah. Guys that, like, would maybe be happy to sign a new contract.
Malik was the first guy I thought about.
I'm going to let them answer, but I've got more to say about that and why I wouldn't say another name.
Okay. All right.
So
I like the Antoine Woods. I like that a lot. It reminds me a little bit of the Jay Ratliff situation the first time around when they signed him, and they're like, why would they sign him? He's still young, and it turned out to be a steal. But remember, Antoine Woods' agent is Drew Rosenhaus. He's not playing that game. You can't. You're not going to sneak.
Looking for money.
You're not going to sneak anything by. That situation. I would say Byron Jones, I think would be my guess there. I've seen him sign a player when he's been banged up before, and maybe if Byron is a little bit worried about how this year is going to be and go for him, they might be able to get him maybe a little bit cheaper than the market would say. That would be my guess, Byron Jones.
And Norm Byron, he also could be one of those guys that looks at it and says, I think what I got here now is a great situation for me. I think I could be my best here. I don't necessarily want to go out in free agency. So if you give me a deal I think is fair for me, I'm willing to maybe take it a little earlier and not test the free agency market.
You got another one?
Yeah.
Oh. Go ahead.
Jason Garrett.
I saw fans.
That's an interesting one.
I saw fans.
I don't think they do, but that's an interesting one.
I saw fans suggesting that when this came out, but Jason Garrett doesn't fall under the salary cap. I don't think Jerry would.
Maybe not.
I don't think Jerry would say that.
And I honestly think they want him.
Yeah.
They like the perception of make him hungry, right? I think they like that perception.
If he was going to do it, he would have done it way before, like, the eve of the season.
Right.
I think.
Amber.
I don't have any other guys aside from those two that they mentioned. I could see my first thought would be Malik, and I could see Byron doing that because of how he is and his stage. How do you say? Status right now or whatever. Other than that, the rest of the guys, I mean, you mentioned Antoine. I see him definitely being a guy like, okay, because he's always striving to be great, and he's in that hot boy mode, and they're, how those people are looking for big money, and I think he's gonna do the same thing. And you talk about Jalen, that's another guy that's definitely not gonna do that right now. No absolute way.
Lyle?
I think what I was
He
going
can
to say
get
is
more money though.
Lyle, Jalen, and I think Byron. Although Byron is interesting because of the injury. Maybe if they made him a fair offer, maybe he would agree to it just on the off chance he doesn't have a great year because of that. But Lyle, Byron, and Jalen are all 16 games away from FU money. And Jalen's not technically because he's headed for restricted free agency, but like I don't know anything, but like I won't be surprised if we're in this position with Jalen next summer that we are with Zeke. I mean, if let's say they give him a first-round tender, he could be playing on a $5 million deal after back-to-back like Pro Bowl caliber seasons. He's at some point in his career, he's going to be gunning for like the $18 million type of mark. It could be next year, I don't know, but those guys have a lot of money at stake. The thing, like Antoine is an exclusive rights free agent, which means like the team doesn't even have to try to keep him. And Malik has had the injury history. He strikes me as just being a low-key guy. He's quieter than Tyron Smith. So maybe he just wants to get it out of the way and not even mess with free agency. That's why I lean toward those two.
The tricky part for Lyle is if Lyle goes and signs somewhere else for, whatever it is, 11 million, 12 million, something like that, whatever the market is, then you still got to, wow, he makes more than Tyron Smith. That would be the story. But if the Cowboys sign him for that, and now he's making more than Tyron Smith, that can't happen.
Right.
Now you got another problem on your hands.
I don't think Lyle's going to command that kind of money, do you?
I don't.
I mean, Lyle's been okay. He's been a good, solid player for them. I don't think he's been great.
Keep in mind, Tyron is playing on the most absurdly team-friendly deal in the NFL.
That? Yeah, get that.
I'm just saying, compared to what these other guys are making, I think Lyle, given his age and given his production and his position flex, if you will, I think he's going to make that kind of money. And so if the Cowboys sign him to what the market is, it's going to be more than what Tyron is, and that's when I don't think if he signs with the Buccaneers or whoever, or Falcons, for this, it's like, wow, I can't believe he's making more than Tyron. And it's not that big a deal because it's not here. But if it's here, no, that ain't going to happen.
Yeah. Trent Brown is the guy I keep going back to, and he's making like $17 million a year. Lyle might not even hit that, but like it just seems realistic to assume he's going to get
making what?
Tyron's like 10. He signed a 10-year contract. But also, like, I talked about that with somebody yesterday. I was like, I don't think he cares.
I don't either.
Tyron is the rare guy that I don't think cares. Now,
I think Tyron thinks I'm making a lot of money. I can take care of myself, my family, my next generation.
He might care if his not as good line mate is making almost double his salary, though.
Maybe.
Yeah.
So
that's tough, especially, for those positions that you are always.
You'll see at the break.
Go ahead.
Sorry, keep going.
And you just say I'm rude.
Keep going.
That's funny. Okay, what was I saying?
I don't remember.
Oh, that position, you were, especially a guy like him, he's constantly getting hurt, and he's had health issues or with his back and all that, and you start looking at other guys making more money than you. I mean, that turns a light on. You want to be able to get the most money that you can, especially when this is something that's going to affect you for the rest of your life. I mean, your body's not going to get any better.
I'll tell you this. I don't want to work. I don't want to be at work the day that they announce a contract extension with Antoine Woods and the big three remain unsigned. Like, that doesn't sound fun for me.
Yeah.
Because it's going to be a S show.
Yeah. All right, let's go and take our first break. When we come back, we're going to go through our position evaluation. We're going to go through each position. We're going to talk about 3 different things. Who's been the best player, who's been the most improved or surprising player, and who may be the odd man out, that veteran or player that was a starter or a player last year that may not be on the team. We'll talk about that when we come right back. This is DallasCowboys.com radio.
If you're like me and you love... if you have a thing, then cutting the cord is scary. But then I found out I could switch to DirecTV Now and still get the live sports I love. No satellite needed, no bulky hardware, no annual contract, just...
Get the live sports you love. Try DirecTV Now for $10 a month for 3 months. Visit DirecTVNow.com. DirecTV Now. More for your thing. That's our thing. Use code REALDEAL. Limited time. Price for a little package. After 3 months, renews monthly at full price. Currently minimum $40 unless canceled. Prices may change. New subscribers only. Cancel anytime. Content varies by package and may be limited. Restrictions apply.
Do you want the most interesting, up-to-the-minute Dallas Cowboys news straight from the Star in Frisco? How about exclusive and on command? That's right. News and nuggets you can't find anywhere else. With our exclusive Cowboys content on Alexa, you can have all the answers, secrets, stories, and more. What's Stephen Jones thinking during a game? What's Joe Looney's favorite pregame meal? We take your questions to Cowboys players and coaches, and you can hear the answers directly back to you. Just say, Alexa, open Dallas Cowboys.
Star Sports Tours is the only official fan travel partner of the Dallas Cowboys, offering exclusive game weekend travel packages with sideline access and photo ops with current players, alumni, and cheerleaders. That's not all, though. You'll get to talk X's and O's with Senior Director of Player Personnel Will McClay, and of course with yours truly, me, Brian Broaddus. You can trust the official fan travel partner of the Dallas Cowboys, and with us, you'll travel like a pro. Visit cowboystravel.com to book your travel package today.
While a player can look good on paper, it's when he's out on the field that you really find out what he's made of. That's why the Cowboys rely on more than just stats and scouting reports when building their team. When picking a tractor, it's why you should rely on more than just specs and features. You've got to take it out and put it to the test. The Cowboys did when they named John Deere their official tractor. Experience one for yourself. Visit myjohndeeredealer.com/football.
Back to the break.
Welcome back. It is the second segment of the break, live from Oxnard, California. It is our final show before we head out, going to Hawaii for the second preseason game, and then heading back to the Star next week for our shows to continue there. Let's do a position evaluation. We're going to go through each position, and we're going to talk about the best player, the most improved or surprising player, and then who may be the odd man out. Let's start first with the quarterback position. Obviously, we know who the best player is, so I don't want to belabor that. But from the standpoint of the most improved or surprising player, who would you say it's been outside of Dak? Of those other quarterbacks, who's been the most surprising or most improved?
Okay, most surprising and most improved, give me Darren Christian, because he showed up here as like a camp arm who I'd never heard of 2 days before camp, and now he's Jameel Showers 2.0. He's playing special teams. He's playing wide receiver. He's hanging out with John Kidna every day, trying my best to read the tea leaves. He strikes me as practice squad all the way. Like, he's going to be here. Cooper Rush probably will be too, but he looks like Cooper Rush. And Mike White has obviously not had a great camp. So,
and what that means is that's a roster spot right there, because Mike White has shown nothing right now to say that he's going to be on the team. You've got all these other positions that you need to go a little heavy on. 2 quarterbacks, 1 on the practice squad. And you know what? Maybe Mike White could be on the practice squad.
Yeah, he could be.
If he was
It'd be wild if they had 2 quarterbacks on the practice squad.
Yeah, true. But, with him doing some of these other things.
Yeah, Darren Christian's not really a quarterback. Yeah.
Yeah, I think this one's easier. I think Cooper has been, he's actually been improving a lot. So, and I think the most surprising has probably been Mike White, of just not being as good as I thought he would be. He would take that lead.
So that's the odd man out in you guys' opinion. What do you guys think?
Cooper has been better than him for sure, but has either of them surprised me? No. I'm not surprised by any of them.
Okay. All right, let's talk about the running back position. Who's been the best player?
Yeah, it's Tony Pollard. But I don't want to throw shade at the guy, but it's a hard position to evaluate, and a lot of it is who's running with the ones. So how much of that is just by design of the coaching staff that Tony Pollard's getting all that work?
Right.
If Alfred Morris was getting all of those reps, he'd probably be kicking ass, and he's flashed since he got here. He's done a lot of nice stuff.
And Darius Jackson has as well.
Yeah, Darius Jackson hasn't looked bad. He ran with the ones for 5 days, and then for no reason that I can decipher, they were just that's enough out of you, Tony. Get out there.
It just looked like to me, and I threw that question out mainly because I think we all agree Tony Pollard's been the best, but I do think over this last week of camp out here, I actually have seen a little bit more from Alfred Morris. It seems like he's you're seeing him make some moves.
Yeah.
He's looked pretty elusive, which I didn't remember that being necessarily a great part of his game, but he looks quick, he looks spry. I actually think this last week he's looked really, really good, and that may be rounding into, like you were talking about with these vet guys, the beginning of camp isn't that important to them. Once you start getting into those last couple of weeks before the season starts, when they have to start really picking it up and getting themselves ready to go, because that's really their target is the first game of the season.
Yeah, and I think that you can tell that they have a role for Jameis Olawale.
No doubt,
big time. and I'm here for it.
Yeah,
no doubt.
And now he's not your Darryl Johnston or even Keith Smith by any means. He's not that kind of fullback. He's a fullback that's going to be swinging out of the backfield for 25 yards.
He's a fullback that can beat a linebacker down the field if you give him the opportunity to do it.
Yeah, somebody told me that he was one of the fastest players on the team. Not at running back or fullback or whatever.
Overall.
One of the fastest players, and he's a big guy.
Yeah, he is a big guy.
But when he gets out there, he can
and not
he can
big like fat big. I'm talking like big, like tall, and he's a big guy.
But he's not a lead blocker type guy that's going to blow you up.
Zeke, Morris, Pollard, Olawale. Assuming Zeke comes back,
so you're saying the odd man out at this point
is everybody else.
Weber. I mean, Mike
Weber, Darius Jackson. You guys think those guys are out?
Chun. Probably. I mean, find your way back to the practice squad maybe, but like I'll put a $5 down on Zeke, Pollard, Alfred Morris, and Jameis Olawale.
The likelihood is that there will have to, I would assume there's going to be one of those guys that at least will be on the roster when they make cuts, because if Zeke's going to show up, he probably doesn't show up till the Tuesday of the first game, I would suspect.
Yeah, Darius Jackson's probably not going to. It's not going to be great for him. He's already been one of the had a wild, crazy story, and it's probably not over yet for him.
Yeah.
But the Morris one's interesting because they say Zeke does come back. He signs a deal and all that. That's when I wonder how much Morris is really going to be a part of it.
It's also fair because as the veteran of the group, like they have to guarantee his salary if he's on the roster at the start of the season. But it's not this ginormous salary that I think that they'd be afraid to sign on to.
Do we know that they haven't already done that? Because I feel like they've done something.
I thought he got a $100,000 bonus to sign, but I'm not.
I mean, there was a reason why they had to sign him and say, don't sign with the Saints and sign here. So
I think they like the idea of having a well-rounded veteran who can step in if Zeke's not available for whatever reason.
Again, there's 3 games to go, and they're going to get a lot of, Mike Weber can actually change a lot of our opinions.
Yeah.
Jordan Chun can change some opinions.
The cool thing, I think, out of everybody, I feel like we've seen flashes from everyone, including those 2 that you just mentioned. The thing is, we don't get to see them getting much rep as opposed to these other guys, so they don't have the chance to maybe shine as much.
Well, they all score. I mean, every snap they run to the end zone and score.
All of them have been good out here, I think. Chun is probably the one that gets lost in the shuffle the most, but even he's been good.
Yep. All right, let's move on to the wide receiver position. Who's been the best player at training camp?
Michael Gallup.
It's been great.
Ballin'.
I don't want to say it, but yes, he has.
All right. Sorry, he was sort of rude to you one time.
And not just rude to her.
Twice? Oh, damn.
To the international fans.
He doesn't
we don't mess around with international fans.
You know what?
Don't mess around with international.
Go up, get a toe touchdown like he did yesterday. You can be as rude as you want.
No, not true.
No. You can't walk around being rude to people.
All right.
All right. Most improved or most surprising player at the wide receiver position, and this can be good or bad. If there's a surprising player that you think you expected more and you got less.
I really like Cobb. Randall Cobb. Obviously he has experience and all that, but I wasn't expecting to see him being so good out here and having that connection with Dak as quickly as he's had it. So I'm honestly impressed with what he's been able to do, and I'm excited to see it in the season and how he's able to help the team.
I said it before. I thought Tavon. I'm surprised that Tavon has been that productive and been as good as he has been as a receiver out here. But they love John Vay too. Is that your guy?
No, I'll probably go with Tavon too because everybody's trying to get rid of him for more or less. I mean, you sign Cobb, you're like, yeah, he's going to be the slot receiver. He's, Aaron Rodgers, Pro Bowl, all that good stuff. Like, you penciled him onto the team immediately. Like, Tavon, it's like, well, we can get rid of this guy if we need to. And he's out here having a great camp.
Once the alarm went off, I really thought the alarm was going to go off for him.
You talking about?
Tavon.
Oh.
I don't remember.
Why do you bring that to the air if we can't really talk about
seriously.
it?
Say when the alarm went off, I thought it was over for him.
You're such such an implier.
You
can't talk about what you're talking about.
The one thing I'll throw out there about, particularly about Randall Cobb, is I like what he brings to the team. I like his veteran presence. I think he's going to be a good receiver for them. One thing that I'm going to keep an eye on that I've noticed out here, he's had a couple days, and there's been that I counted 2 different days where he was dropping a lot of passes. One day he had 3 drops, one day he had 2. And they were, in every instance, it was a situation where he had to extend a little bit, ball hit his hands, and just went straight through his hands. And that wasn't what I thought I knew of Randall Cobb. Obviously, not watching every Green Bay Packer game, I don't really know what his history is with regards to drops. But I do know that those 2 days happened, and it put up my antenna. So that's something I'm going to be keeping an eye on once we get into the regular season.
Wide receiver is so running back's hard to evaluate. Wide receiver is so easy to evaluate. Are you getting open? Or are you catching it?
Right.
So for me to think you're having a great camp as a receiver, you got to bring it and be awesome every day. And that's why I go out of my way to sing Gallup's praises, because he has. Even, his drops have been one-handed, just crazy stuff. Whereas
and all of these instances I'm talking about were balls that were pretty readily catchable.
That came right into his hand.
There's no doubt about it. He has been up and down. He hasn't been terrible, but he's had at least 2 or 3 pretty meh practices. And yesterday being one of them.
Yeah.
He had to jump for it. It wasn't a great ball, but it went right through his 2 hands.
Yeah.
So
he's still getting acclimated to training camp.
All good. And again, like I said, he's had way more good days than he's had bad days. But my point is, that's something that piqued my interest, because it seemed like it happened in bunches. And that's where I'm going to wonder, do you get into the season and do those games show up where it's a game or 2 here and there where he's just kind of not completely on he's not catching the ball like he normally does.
Something to watch.
You know whose arrow is going up? Who? Devin Smith.
Yeah.
He is.
After
he's been showing up here.
We tried our best to bury him yesterday, but he had another great day of practice.
Is it possible for him to get back into the mix to make this team?
I still
it's hard right now.
If something happens in
injuries,
the preseason.
obviously,
you got to remember, there's a lot of guys. Sorry.
No, go ahead.
There's a lot of guys that are going to get cut from other teams, and all of a sudden, then you look at all these other receivers, and you're like, is one of them better than Devin Smith?
Right.
Probably gonna. That's probably going to be the case. But
the back end of the depth chart is all about what all can you do? How many ways can you help us? Can you play all 3 positions? Can you play on special teams? Devin Smith, I don't know that he has the versatility to fit that bill.
Especially if you have Cobb and Tavon. I mean, he would have had to have been better than Tavon. Or Tavon would have to be kind of like, you know what, we don't need him right now. We got other guys that can do that, because they're smaller guys that can run. You got your big guy in Noah Brown, who's going to be here.
Much like Jalen Guyton, most of the good stuff we've seen from Devin Smith has him been running in a straight line down the field. That's what he does. He's really good at it. So's Jalen. Is that enough when you're talking about the last position on the receiver depth chart?
So I think they wanted Jalen Guyton to be like this, because he's got the build of, he looks like Terrence Williams out there just size-wise, and Terry Glenn and all that, just kind of a big, he looks good in the pads and all that, but he hasn't been, like Dave said, the light bulb hasn't come on just yet.
You got Noah Brown. That looks big.
So
who's look big? He is big.
No, I'm saying I need my middle.
That's slimmer.
Yeah. Who's the best player at the wide receiver position that won't make the team?
Oh, wow. I'm not convinced John Vay is going to make the team yet.
Probably Reggie Davis.
Reggie Davis, yeah.
He's been pretty good. He's just going to be on the outside, I think.
That's a good answer.
All right. Let's move on to the tight end position. Who's been the best player? This is an interesting one, because you could probably make a case for 2 or 3 guys as the best player. Who's been the best?
Witten went out there and made that one-handed grab yesterday, looking like
Witten is this last couple, I don't know, maybe 3, 4 last practices. I've been like, every day it seems like he's making a play. I'm like, okay.
He's
I'll see you,
rejuvenated.
Jason.
I wanna. All right, I'll say. Everything, all in all, it's still probably Witten.
Yeah.
But Jarwin's the most improved.
Yep, okay.
I kind of like Dorrance Armstrong. I came out here like, okay, Blake Jarwin. I hear you. I know you caught 3 touchdowns. Big whoop. But he's looked awesome out here.
I think
he's had a nice camp.
I think Witten has been the most surprising, honestly, just because it's close of who's, our expectations are so up here or down here. I don't even know. With Witten, it's weird. What are your expectations? Is it a guy that's coming out of football for a year, or is it a guy that's going to be in the Hall of Fame? So I didn't know what to expect. Both, right?
Both, yeah.
It's like, and I asked him that. I did an interview with him, and it'll go up in tomorrow, and I was like, rest versus rust.
Yeah.
And that's what we always talk about. Is the rest going to help you, or are you going to be rusty? And he said combination of both.
Yeah.
But I think he's been pretty good, and I think it's a 1A and 1B, but Jarwin's going to play more than any tight end that's ever played with Witten before.
I'm starting to believe that Jarwin might actually have a significant snap count, which you can. I've been saying all year that I didn't think that would be the case.
Yeah. Amber, what are your thoughts here?
You know, with Witten, his last year here, I was starting to see a decline with him. As far as just seeing him slowing down a little bit, you know, not moving as well as we're used to seeing him move. And my expectations with him coming back after a year being out, it wasn't that high. You know, I was like, you know what? I wonder if how old he's going to look out there when you throw him in the mix of all these younger guys. And no, he's been able to keep up with everyone. He looks even better than the last year that he was here.
As long as his helmet's on, he looks younger.
He looks amazing.
He looks younger than he did. When he takes his helmet off, you're like, oh, yeah, things have changed a little bit.
Changed. Got a few less hair.
But with then Blake Jarwin, I really like him too. He still needs to improve in the blocking game, but as you know, last year when Swain went out, he started improving with all the reps that they were giving him. You started seeing him an incline and progress, and I'm glad that he's been able to carry that into this year and keep improving, and he's doing well.
All right, let's move on. Let's talk about the offensive line. Who's been the best player at the offensive line?
Darren.
Yeah.
That's pretty easy. All right.
Second best.
Who's been you want to go second best?
I mean,
Who's been
that's
second best?
Tyron.
All right, I'll give you Connor Williams.
Connor Williams.
52, baby. Let's go.
Third best.
Bulk him up. Third best, probably Lyle.
Is that documentary coming out?
Oh, put her on the spot.
No.
That look on her face.
Wasn't really trying to do
It's like a
that.
snipe fest between you two today.
I wasn't trying to put her on the spot.
It's like one takes a shot, then the other takes a shot. What are we doing?
It's more about promotion.
Yeah. Well, if you want to promote one,
it's got to be
there's one that's
done
coming
before you
out
can
today
promote
that
it,
we
yeah.
can promote. There's actually a Deep Blue documentary coming out in just a few hours called Own It.
Who's this guy on? Oh, Jerry Jones.
Jerry Jones. He's on Jerry Jones, yeah.
No.
That's coming out today at 1 o'clock Pacific, 3 o'clock Central
Is it
for you
any
guys.
good?
You
It's
know
good.
what?
I actually watched it last night. It's good.
There's been I know that there's been a lot of stuff on Jerry Jones, even the last couple of years with him going to the Hall of Fame, football life and all that stuff. Here are a lot of stories in this documentary that are a little bit different too.
Yeah.
And Stephen Jones told some really good stuff, and Broadus has a story that's pretty funny there at the end. So there are some good
some nuggets that you have of things that I don't think you've heard. I know there were things I hadn't heard.
Probably a story you've heard 100 times.
If Brian told it, I bet I've heard it.
It's the cell phone story.
Oh,
yeah.
That's actually
We've
one of
heard
my.
that.
That's one
That's
of
a
my
good story.
favorites, though.
Yeah, it's Jerry and the cell phone.
All right, so who is the so we say most improved player? Would you say that's Connor?
Probably Connor as well.
It's hard to think that anybody's not been more improved than Connor from where he was last year to where he is now.
Yeah.
The way his body's built, his strength, his ability to play the position, he is 10 times better than
That's another one that, like, I've said it about a million other guys, though. Like, he has to play like that now.
Right.
Like, it's one thing for us to rave about how he looks in camp, but it's got to translate when it's freaking Fletcher Cox on the other side.
But what you love about it is you see him up against these guys like Malik Collins, and when he plants and he settles in,
Telling you, man.
they are not moving. Like he is stopping guys, and that's not what he was doing last year.
Scott, the nutritionist, and Brett Besh, the strength and conditioning guy, like they gave him a binder in January, and it was called the Zach Martin How-To Guide. Eat this.
How
lift
you
these
can be Zach
weights,
Martin.
Do these drills. Like, I mean, it's I'm not saying he plays like Zach because nobody does, but he looks exactly like him.
Yeah, and
good stuff.
He's even growing like kind of a beard situation like Zach.
Yeah, I haven't noticed that.
Yeah. The
laughed.
The disappointing part of all that is that he got that binder, and then he also went to Connor McGovern and said, "Hey, come with me because we're going to do this thing
We're
together."
about to become Zach 2.0 and 3.0.
If you saw every day, it was both of them, the two Connors out there doing stuff.
And in January or February, hopefully, Connor's going to go back to those guys and say, all right, where's the Tyron Smith binder? Give me that one.
There you go. But
like it.
But it's been disappointing that the pec injury has prevented Connor McGovern from doing anything out
I didn't
here.
think it would keep him out this long.
That's a low-key disappointing storyline of camp because who knows what he might have been able to do if he was totally healthy.
Something tells me that they're not going to keep 10 linemen. And maybe they only even keep 8.
You think 7?
No. I mean, maybe they only keep 8.
8 was.
Sorry, I said it wrong.
Like you can go back and look. Like they kind of stick to a pattern. Like for the longest time, it was 8. They've carried 9 a couple times, but like I would say in Garrett's tenure, they've carried 8 way more often than any other.
So your 3 backups are going to be Looney.
Yes,
he's been really good.
He's been good. McGovern.
Fleming.
And Fleming, got it. It's
got to have a tackle.
Got to have a tackle, yeah.
Right.
And there's not a better tackle, backup tackle.
I don't know. I'm
So
keeping
who is-
Suafilo, too.
Well, so that's my question.
If you want to keep 9, you can.
Right.
See, that's why
I would keep 9.
I would too. But I'm wondering if they're trying to figure out ways to maybe not keep Fleming.
And okay, if you want to trade, if you're trying to do a roster cut trade, that's fine.
No.
So who becomes your swing tackle?
Who out here do you trust to be your swing tackle right now?
Right.
Unless you want to use Connor Williams.
That's what I'm wondering.
We
I'm
just
not,
raved about as how
yeah,
well he's
guard.
playing
Like,
guard.
don't move him at
That's
this
what
point.
I think maybe they might
Also-
do that. Or maybe
But
they
here's
might move Zach.
but the issue
or
with-
maybe Looney.
Looney
issue
played
with that-
tackle in practice yesterday.
Right.
The issue with that becomes then you're talking about, unless it's going to be Looney, you're talking about now one position injury now affects 2 or 3 positions. And I don't think that's ever a good idea.
Let me clarify. Looney was jumbo. Like, he wasn't playing right tackle. He was in the jumbo package.
Which is
so,
different.
Yes.
And he's been doing that. He's done that in the past.
Yeah, that's really more of a tight end.
Right.
Is what that is.
Yeah.
a
Replace the tight
balanced
end.
line.
Yeah.
I would be surprised.
I would keep 9.
I would be surprised if Fleming's not.
I would keep 9 because
I
I
would
don't
be shocked.
I don't know what I can get out of McGovern.
That would be
I
one of the
haven't seen
most surprising cuts I think you could make, in my opinion, just knowing what else they have
But-
if they didn't have Fleming on this team.
I'm telling you, though, I'm not cutting Suafilo at all. I don't cut him all year because I really believe if you don't sign Lyell and you have to do something, maybe when to move Connor out there. I mean, this is a 5th-year guy, right? He's in his 5th year.
6th, I think.
6th.
He's the same draft class as Zach, I think.
Okay, I mean he's relatively young. I'm looking at him here, right here. I mean his body looks a lot different than it did like maybe 6 weeks ago because he was banged up a little bit in the offseason, didn't do a lot. You can just put him in regardless. I mean he's got that old man, Hawaiian strength or something. I don't even know where he's from.
Old man strength.
He's a lot of his family's from Hawaii. He's not.
Are you doing a story on that today?
I'm writing it right now.
Oh, he's got a lot of tickets he had to get for this game.
Yeah, he's got
from
like
what I hear.
60 people coming.
Yeah, a ton. All right, let's go ahead and take our final break. We'll come back. We're going to get into the defense and talk about some of those positions. We'll do that when we come right back. This is DallasCowboys.com radio.
While a player could look good on paper, it's when he's out on the field that you really find out what he's made of. That's why the Cowboys rely on more than just stats and scouting reports when building their team. When picking a tractor, it's why you should rely on more than just specs and features. You've got to take it out and put it to the test. The Cowboys did when they named John Deere their official tractor. Experience one for yourself. Visit myjohndeeredealer.com/football.
It's time for Tailgate with the OtterBox boys.
OtterBox, the makers of those crazy protective phone cases?
The one and only. They're also wild about protecting parking lot parties from sad drinks. It's why they made elevation tumblers.
Rumor around the crockpot is they're made from stainless steel with a copper lining to keep temps hot or cold.
True, they even come in 7 different sizes, up to 64 ounce, the growler.
I like how OtterBox drinks. Thinks.
And that's been Tailgating with the OtterBox boys. Check out all the colors and sizes of their elevation tumblers at otterbox.com.
Want to use what the pros use? How about the official men's skincare brand of the Dallas Cowboys, Jack Black? Right now, you can get the Jack Black Playmaker, a curated collection of Cowboys locker room favorites for just $10 with free shipping. The Playmaker includes 4 Jack Black skincare favorites, plus a full-sized Intense Therapy lip balm and a Cowboys can cooler. Go to getjackblack.com/Cowboys and use the code word Cowboys. The Jack Black Playmaker, $10, free shipping.
Star Sports Tours is the only official fan travel partner of the Dallas Cowboys, offering exclusive game weekend travel packages with sideline access and photo ops with current players, alumni, and cheerleaders. That's not all, though. You'll get to talk X's and O's with Senior Director of Player Personnel Will McClay and, of course, with yours truly, me, Brian Broaddus. You can trust the official fan travel partner of the Dallas Cowboys, and with us, you'll travel like a pro. Visit cowboystravel.com to book your travel package today.
A man's Stetson doesn't just protect him from life's elements. It projects an unstoppable and legendary spirit, just like the men wearing silver and navy on the field every Sunday. Since 1865, Stetson hats are American-made with pride right here in Texas. They are still the official crown of all self-respecting Cowboys. And Stetson is proud to be on the field with America's team. Find Stetson hats in the Pro Shop or at Stetson.com today.
Back to the break.
Welcome back. It's the final segment of the break, live from Oxnard, California. Cowboys are taking the field right now. They're doing their little their yoga session.
Special teams walk through,
And yoga
while
for the vets.
special teams goes on, the vets do yoga.
Yeah, and then the special teamers will do their yoga.
The guys who
And
are
Amber will join
confident
that.
that they've got a roster spot are over here, and the guys who are still working on it are over there.
False Cody Winchman right there.
Well, he's hurt right now. So.
Cody Winchman. All right,
Mike White's right there.
Let's jump back into
All
the
right,
defense.
I was just trying to make a joke.
Sorry.
That
killed
you
his
daved
joke.
me right there. And you're like, well, actually.
That's kind of true.
Yeah.
Kind of true.
Mickey,
All right,
you.
let's get into the defense. Let's talk about the defensive line. Who's been the best player on the defensive line throughout training camp?
Malik Collins.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, I mean, he's
Not even
awesome.
close.
Yeah, I was like looking down the line.
Who's been the best defensive end?
Dorrance Armstrong.
Kerry Hyder.
Okay.
Yeah, okay.
All right.
Or maybe Kerry Hyder.
All right.
I just.
Amber?
Sorry, go ahead.
I like Dorrance.
Okay.
I just love what he's done against the good players. Like Lyell's
True.
been giving him, like they've been going back and forth, but
Yeah.
he's been giving Lyell fits. He beat Tyron a few times. Like he's not beating up on, the third and fourth string tackles. He's playing well against the studs.
Yeah, what Garrett always says is injury provides opportunity, and the fact that D-Law and Quinn are now out, and at least for this time, and it's somebody has to go up against Tyron.
Tristan
it's not
Hill.
gonna be Taco.
He's a troublemaker.
Oh.
Tristan.
Do tell.
No, I'm just
Hear
saying.
this story.
I was looking through footage to put together a little clip, and I ran into several times that he has tried to punch somebody. Like he is gonna be really good. I don't think we'll see much this year, but next year I think he's gonna be one of the best here. He has that. I don't know, edge to him, and he doesn't like being thrown around. Not that anybody does, but when he gets up, he gets pissed.
Well, he gave
he
Lyell
he
2
doesn't
piece.
do the head shake like some that get up and just shake their head and walk off.
The clapping, the clapping, the head shake.
The clapper head shake. He gets pissed, and that's good for what he's trying to do because that pushes him for the next rep. He's going all out and giving everything that he can.
I like that
You're
take.
exactly right about that. And somebody told him a long time ago, don't get punked. Whatever it was, you're not going to punk me. And so even though it happens, he has to go up against the Zach Martins and Travis Fredericks and Connor Williams, but you're not going to do it twice, And if you do, then let's just fight.
I'll throw
I
the
lost
punch.
once. I ain't gonna lose again.
I mean,
Right.
he's just, and it's kind of like Connor Williams is. If you talk to him over here, nice guy, but he's really nasty.
Yeah.
He's a nasty player.
Very nice off the field.
Yeah,
Right.
and but
Several of those guys are. Look at Joe Looney.
Yeah.
I mean, wasn't
You gotta be like that to play
Wasn't
in
there
the
a
line.
story
You have
about?
to be a nasty
I mean,
dude when
You
you're out
gotta
there
be
playing.
a bastard. For
My
lack
favorite
of a
player
better
of all
word.
time for the Cowboys, Darren Woodson, was exactly like that. He was a beast on the field. Get him off the field is the nicest, most articulate guy you ever want to meet and spend and have a conversation with. But if you're going to play in the NFL, those guys are mean
I saw
when
him.
they get on the field.
I saw
they have
him
to be.
one time. Darren Woodson came off the field and cussed out the defensive line coach, like right to his face.
Yeah.
Like this guy's 60-something years old. Just cussed him out, and I was just like, wow.
And then the game was over. He's like, hey, let's go have a beer. Let's
probably,
go,
yeah.
Let's go talk.
Jason Witten, man.
Yeah,
He's a
Jason can be
freaking-
savage on the
he's
field,
a
no doubt.
jerk out there.
Yeah.
It's awesome.
It's a whole different thing. I was telling somebody the first time I was ever on a sideline during an NFL game, like the stuff you hear down there,
Yeah.
it ain't meant for kids. Like
Nope.
they're going at each other physically, but they're also talking to each other, and the stuff they're saying, they're challenging they're challenging each other. Like
Yeah.
mentally challenging each other.
We always say that about people, and whether or not they're players or whatever, when they're new. But we always make that statement: you don't know what you don't know. And
Yeah.
I think Tristan Hill's kind of at that. He doesn't know what he doesn't know. Charles Haley comes to try to help him, and he's kind of like a little standoffish. Like, well, no, it's okay. I'm Charles Haley. That still might not register.
Right.
I made it to the Hall of Fame, and that might not register yet either. No, he's
Look
just
up. My name's on the stadium.
right. Yeah, I bet Ring of Honor doesn't really register
probably
yet.
not.
But it's okay.
All right, who's the best player on the defensive line that will not make this team? The odd man out.
Daniel Ross.
Daniel Ross. You don't think Daniel Ross makes it?
Good
I
answer.
can't get him on the roster.
It just depends on how many they keep. And it's hard. I mean, they've gone with as few as 8 in the past. I don't think that'll happen this year, but they have. They've
Okay.
also carried as many as 11.
I'm going to float a name out there that Nick brought up in practice yesterday.
Oh gosh,
I know it's just
talking.
it really is. It's just for conversation purposes because I don't think I would be absolutely shocked if it happens.
Go.
Tyrone Crawford.
I would. Yeah, I would be shocked.
I'd be shocked. And I just said it because you're looking to see what what they've got.
Can you still be shocked though, with all the things that this team
Yeah.
has done?
Yes.
Yeah, there's some things that could shock us.
Bailey
still,
shocked
yeah.
us, right?
Yeah, it kind of shocked.
Bailey, Des Bryant, that was shocking to me. Jason Witten leaving like that, that
Coming
was
back.
shocking. Coming back, shocking.
We're not expecting that.
I hear what you're saying,
Yeah,
but
you make good points, but if we don't get shocked, then it's not fun. So let's get shocked. Let's get shocked.
Let's just get
Every
shocked.
once in a while, right?
I just, he's
That's interesting,
He's
though.
a captain.
I don't want this to happen. I'm not suggesting it or anything. I was just.
It was all for
I was just
conjecture
looking at
purposes.
it.
I mean, it was just
going,
a conversation.
Yeah,
right?
he's not here, and really, like what I don't know is what is he right now?
Right.
What's
that's
the body
hard
type?
part. Yeah,
Where do you got him?
That's
But
the hard part.
His body type is impressive. He looks yoked. I just haven't seen him play
But where are you
football.
going to put him? Are you going to put him at defensive end? He's not starting at either defensive end or defensive tackle. So where does he play? Is he your guy that comes in on passing downs? He becomes your 3 technique on passing downs?
It's
Maybe
a
that works.
big ask because he's not even off of PUP, but he could be your starting defensive end week 1. Robert Quinn's not here.
Good point.
So I mean, the big question with him is his health, and maybe he'll start the season on PUP. I mean, at the way it's trending right now, which, like I said, DeMarcus. We've sort of known this about DeMarcus since like April, right? And they've been saying, they said it at the draft, they said it at OTAs, minicamp when we got here. They're like, he's working, he's fine, he's on target for week 1. We haven't heard any of that stuff about Tyrone. So maybe we need to be digging around a little bit more and find out just what maybe the timetable might
what
be.
their expectations are.
I think that Taco Charlton will make this team, and by week 2 or 3, maybe cut or traded. If he hasn't playing well,
Whenever
Quinn
is
comes
ready.
back, and I think if so you got to make a move for somebody. Now then again, somebody could get hurt in week 1 or 2, and that changes some things. But,
But I feel like they're ready to call that a loss.
I do too.
I feel like they would tell you that he's picked up his play here in the last few days.
I
mean,
honestly,
week or so.
And I honestly think that's going to make them say, we're going to give him this full year, to see what he can do, and if it doesn't work, then next year is the year that he's out. I think he may have done enough to at least pique their curiosity to say, keep him around for another year. Personally,
I think I can cut this roster down right now with a high degree of accuracy, but I don't know what to do with the defensive line.
It's
gonna be hard. It is the toughest one to kind of try to figure out how they're feeling about.
Even if you do all the other ones first and you get to 42 and you're like, wow, I got 11 to go here. That's a lot. That's probably too many. It's still tough.
Yeah.
Getting it to 11 is tough because you got to cut the Daniel Rosses. You got to cut maybe Taco. You got to cut Jalen Jelks. You got to cut Joe Jackson.
You got to ask. Yeah, you're like, are they really going to carry like 4 rookies on their defensive line? That's a lot.
And that's something that I remember you and Rob were pointing out yesterday about the second team defensive line was all rookies, all across the board. And it wasn't Tristan Hill who was playing with the first team because Malik was out, but it was Jelks and Joe Jackson, and then the tackles were, help me here, Wise and
Walker, maybe?
68.
Ricky Walker, yeah. 68.
That guy's, I mean,
he's
a week
been
ago
playing
it was
really
like
well,
no one's talking about Ricky Walker at all,
Yeah.
except for William.
Because he went to Tech. I don't know what to do with the defensive line, and we'll see. We'll see.
All right, linebackers. Who's been the best player at linebacker? I know it's hard to evaluate.
I think, and this kind of describes them to a T. Like Jalen is the flashier. Jalen stands out the most. You can watch the games. Like I've said it before. Like when he hits people, it looks different. Like he's physical. He knocks people back. His dreads are flowing, and he looks just like the baddest mofo in the world.
And then comes the celebration.
But I
Swipey up.
think, and this isn't to say Jalen's not good, but I think like Leighton is quietly the better player, and just quietly does freaky stuff like cover running backs in the open field and make tackles 4 yards short of where they're supposed to be.
If you looked at the roster of the Pro Bowl and the All-Pro team,
yeah,
it wasn't so quiet. I mean, a
Yeah,
lot of people
no, for sure.
thought the same thing.
Yeah.
I think people think that too.
So
he doesn't. Probably.
No, Jalen does.
And let's be honest, though, too. He does some of those same things. When he hits guys, they don't get extra yards.
No.
He's a big guy, and he comes with the heat.
Exactly. Like, they're both super good. Yeah. But I think Leighton's entire body of work has been better over the course of camp.
Yeah. Amber?
I sound hesitant when I say that, but that's how I feel.
I agree with that. But, I mean, a guy that definitely caught my eyes was 57. Luke Gifford. I'm like, ooh, who's 57 over there?
He makes plays.
Huh?
He makes plays.
He does. And I don't know what they're planning on doing with him after this injury that, I mean, he's going to be out at least a month. That's like at least 4 weeks. And what do you do with him? Because he has been pretty good this whole camp, and he's made his name known. So what do you do?
All you need to know about him is that he's going to make the team after getting hurt on August 10th, was it? Which I sort of suggested that to Jason Garrett the other day.
So you keep him on
and
the roster.
He got mad at me. He was like, I mean, more or less, I was like, well, yeah, like, you're going to put him on IR? What are you going to do with him? Like, how are you going to keep him here? And he was like, whoa, let's not get so far ahead of ourselves. Like, we got a lot of time left. I was like, okay, Jason, that's cool. What are you going to do with him? Because he's on the team.
It actually worked out perfect for him when you think about it. Like, he got a pick. He's been playing well. He got a pick. He made a tackle. He got hurt. He's done. He can't get any more. He can't get trucked. Yeah. He can't make a bad play. He's done. Like, his evaluation's done, and he's, you know what I mean?
I said this on Monday, though, is you can't IR him because it ends his season, so you're just stuck carrying a guy that can't practice and also can't help you get through these games.
But he made the team.
But do they actually need that this year, though? That would be my thing is the likelihood where he is right now, even though he's had a good camp, the likelihood that he actually plays for you other than special team this year is really, really small.
If you IR him and end his season, like, he can't practice for you.
I get all that. I get all that. My point is, if they're looking at it as, hey, we want this guy, it's more important for us to have this guy for next year. So retaining his rights is important to us because we may not have Sean. We may not have, what other guys may be unavailable because they're free agents or whatever. The point is, they may look at it as, we don't think he's going to play a ton this year. It's more important to keep his rights.
Maybe, but also I guarantee you the coaches are like, when he gets healthy, which would probably be in October or whenever it is, maybe September, we want him out there practicing and learning the defense. And, I mean, you're not getting better by taking a year off of football.
Absolutely, but we've seen him do this before with rookies. So
but
it happens.
I think they will put him on IR on August 31st.
Yeah.
That's what I think.
Okay.
We'll see.
All right, let's go ahead and get the defensive backs real quick before the end of the show. Who's been the best player out here at defensive back?
Now, that's tough.
That is tough because you got two guys in Cheeto
Can we split
and
up
Xavier.
corners and safeties here?
No, because we don't have time for that.
Okay.
And Xavier Woods, both of them have played, I think, extremely well out here. If you had to choose one, who's been the better
Lewis
player?
Has been good too, but
he absolutely has.
1, 2, 3.
Cheeto.
Xavier.
Very similarly to Jalen and Leighton. Like, Xavier, safeties make the splash plays. They get picks. That's what you notice. But Cheeto's just out here covering everybody.
Yeah,
he made a play yesterday that I think, I mean, picks are what you want, but it was almost as impressive as
going
Jordan's
across the middle
pick.
when he knocked that ball down.
It was Byron Jones. He did the Byron, like, he literally just sort of positioned his body around the receiver, didn't touch him, and just poked the ball away.
By the way, it was on a crossing route, which is the hardest route to cover.
An in-breaking route, he's just like, you are not going to catch that.
Yeah.
And we've seen that's Byron Jones's move. Like, that's what he does.
And we haven't seen, and that wasn't the first time we've seen Cheeto do that out here.
No.
He's done that a few times out here. Yeah.
Like, he's been the tough luck loser for the last 2 years where it's like, his coverage was so good, but the guy still caught it. Like, that hasn't been happening out here.
You have an unbelievable coach.
Yeah, they do.
He's so good. And he's making, I mean, you talk about, there's going to be some good players cut, and that might be your next.
That is my final question.
Best player?
My best player?
Yeah.
I mean, we
defensive backs.
We talked about him, Jordan Lewis.
Okay.
Why you guys talked about it at the beginning of the show, but to me, he's been the one player that literally every time I look up, I see 27. Everywhere I look, 27, 27, 27. He's everywhere. And, I mean, there's no way that you cannot not notice him on the field.
I will happily reiterate that I would like to have seen more consistency from Dak Prescott out here, but I think you have to give some of that credit to how well the DBs have played.
No doubt
like,
about
some of that is the secondary being very good.
Yep.
Some of it.
Yep. So who's the odd man out? Who's the best player at defensive back that's not going to make this team?
I'm concerned about Kayvon. Definitely concerned about him, and he's a guy that has been playing for you, and he's a veteran. But I don't know, things are not looking that great for him right now.
I think Kayvon's a good one, and Donovan Alumba.
That would be the one I throw out. If they don't find a way to keep him on this team, I think that's a miss. Because I think he is a really good player, and I think he's only going to get better.
And your most veteran player who's played the most that won't make it is Iloka.
Right. But I think we've all kind of seen the writing on the wall. When he got into camp and he's running with the third team, that's not a good sign for a veteran
Would you
guy.
be willing to pull a Charvarius Ward with Alumba and trade him for something else you might want?
Yeah, because if I have to cut him and hope I can get him on the practice squad,
but I wouldn't. The reason why is because right now I look at him as next year.
That's true. You have to think about
there's a lot of things I don't know about the quarterback position for next year.
Byron.
Yeah, I would say that's a guy I think is up on the rise. I think it's necessary to keep him around. So I don't think they can afford to let him leave.
Can you keep Darian Thompson and C.J. Goodwin? Because I mean, special teams will want that.
That will probably that right there is like an indicator of how much sway Keith O'Quinn
Well, why
has,
wouldn't they? Because Darian Thompson is the best. He's the third best safety you got on this team, right?
Third best safety.
And Goodwin
is a special teams guy.
He's hands down their best.
Right.
Hands down, not even close. Their best special teams
right.
player.
So
but
you're really keeping a third safety that can play some special teams, and then you're keeping a special teams ace, right?
But so all right, Byron ain't going anywhere. Cheeto, Jordan, AB, all here. Assuming nothing crazy like if they were to trade Jordan, but he's been so good. Why the hell would they do that?
Yep.
Mike Jackson just. It seems
odd
weird. No, Mike Jackson I think is almost a lot.
Is he better than Alumba?
No,
I don't think so.
No.
So you're going to let Alumba go and not keep him?
Again, you're talking about the future here.
It's a close
one. Right, I am. I'm talking about the future.
I still lean toward Mike Jackson, and I know he didn't play well in San Francisco.
Alumba's played better than him.
I would take Alumba. I certainly would take Alumba.
That's a tough one. That's probably where it's going to come down.
Those are going to be the kind of things that you're going to look for that when they release their final cuts. Those will be some of the first names I'm looking for is what happened. What do they do at the cornerback position? Because that's going to be a tough cut, man.
Draft picks have a pretty hefty track record here.
Yeah,
there's a reason why they've kept Alumba around here, though. I think
but fifth round, they just always seem to make it.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, am I missing something? Fifth round?
They cut Ryan Russell a few years ago, but that was it. And
okay, but Marinelli cussed him out every single day. We could see that.
Yeah, it was amazing how mean they were to him.
Yeah.
All right, guys, we appreciate you joining us. It's been a great show. And then we're not going to have time for specialists, and I think we kind of know how that's going to work out.
Brett
Maher. All right, we appreciate you guys joining us from out here at Oxnard for these last 3.5 weeks. We'll be back at the Star next week starting on Monday. Check the website for schedules. We'll let you know once we figure out the team schedule what our podcast schedule will be. Until then, for Nick Eatman, Dave Hellman, Amber Garcia, I am Derek Eagleton. This has been The Break live on DallasCowboys.com radio.
This has been a production of DallasCowboys.com and the Dallas Cowboys Football Club.
How about this, Cowboys? Yeah!